Hi, everybody. It's been a minute since you've seen my face. Thank you all who hung in there just hearing me speak. The topic was very, very sensitive and it was hard to do it, but I kept getting poked like with a shank or, like who's going to poke a bear unless you're crazy? So I had to go through that for a moment and thank all of the well wishes that I received, all the strength messages I received from positive women, and even you negative ones. You had something to say too, and I even applaud you for what you said. But unfortunately, what you were saying was coming from, I call it fan crazy fan syndrome, where you want to believe that the person that you have taken is, the gospel, and you find out they're really just playing with you. Today, I want to talk about relationships. I got a lot of readings wanting to talk about relationships because of, I guess, my age. They figure I should know more about relationships than they do. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we're just as stupid as y'all are. So don't worry about it. But I heard two women. I was listening to their programs, and they were talking about being in your feminine energy. I have no clue of what that means. I've been a tomboy pretty much all of my life. I've never been the girly girly type. I like wearing mini skirts. Lately, because of certain conditions, my legs don't look as cute as they used to. But the minute they get back to that, trust me, I'm gonna wear me another mini skirt. But I'm not playing either. I am. But they talked about being in their relaxing in their feminine energy. And like I say, I don't have any clue of what that means. I've always been somewhat of a aggressive woman, I guess. I've always stood my ground. I have fought for what I feel is right. Verbally, yes, and sometimes it had to be physical. I have protected my daughter physically. I protected her verbally as well. Um, it's just a thing, what is feminine energy? Because I'm in one of the best relationships I've ever been in my entire life, is now. And I met him 2 years ago. And it was not a pretty picture. It wasn't, cookie cutter perfect how we met. But I did find out from other senior people, the older we get, the bolder we become. So I guess it was just a combination of the right things. But we had to go through a punishment, a karma, to get to where we are, and we finally have arrived. I trust him more than any man I've ever met in my entire life. I don't know any man that I can sit right next to, been in the day, all day in the house with, and sit right next to him and hold his hand. I've never done that before. We can be laying in bed and we're cuddled up next to each other like we just met. Relationships are very new and everything, and you want to be all snuggly and all of that. Oh, we have that, and we've been together now 2 years. Amazing. But this relaxing in one's feminine energy, I understand what they're talking about, but I've never practiced it. I've never gone out of my way to practice what is feminine energy. With this man that I'm with, I was my regular self. I didn't do any changing. I didn't decide, well, I'm going to be in my feminine energy now for this man. That never came to my head at all. It just happened. I just fell in sync with what felt safe and right for me, where I didn't have to be the aggressive one, the leader of the relationship. I'm finally in a relationship where there's a partnering of that. We discuss things, and I basically let him take the lead, except when I feel like, no, that's not the way to go. We need to do it like this. And he's masculine enough that me offering a suggestion that might not be what he was thinking, he can handle it. He can take that suggestion and say, you made a better suggestion than I did, and run with it, and not get caught up in, well, I'm the man, and I'm making all the decisions. No, you're not going to do that with me anyway, because I have a brain. You can do that with women who don't think, or who've gotten lazy and don't want to think. Do that with them. But this man is masculine enough that my degree of femininity is not a battle for him. He doesn't see it as a fight or as a pull, and we're not trying to change each other, because we came into this relationship being full and whole as individuals. And all we've done is just, boom, added that together and made it more magnificent. So he's a more magnificent man, and I'm a more magnificent woman as a result of us coming together. But in no way did I have to say, oh, well, I've got to learn how to do feminine energy to be with him. It just happened because he's a man that's strong enough for me to trust with making decisions. And he makes very good decisions. And so I got lucky. But look how long it took me to get him. I mean, I was 66 years old. Been married once, been in relationships, and it's the first time I can say, I can exhale. I really can exhale. But when I get comments from women, could you please talk about relationships and this, that, and the other? Well, in my former life, I worked as a senior citizen director of a center. And we had lots of fun. We had games. We had, especially card games. They taught me how to play bridge, how to play pinochle, and whatever else was popular at the time. I taught classes, many, many classes, and some of those I will be sharing with all of you. But there was something I observed. People, and I'm going to break it down into age groups. If you're a 20-year-old female and it's a 30-year-old male, it works out. When you turn 30 and he turns 40, works out. When you turn 40 and he turns 50, it works out. When you're 50 and he's 60, it works out. When you're 60 and he's 70, that's when it starts to break apart. 10 years. That 10-year difference means a lot. Right there, that's when that breaking point happens. You're 60 and he's 70. Now, if you're 60 and you're ailing and you have a lot of health problems, and he's healthy and great, no problem. But if it's the other way around, that's when you're going to start having your issues, because you're still a bunny rabbit hopping around. You want to travel. You want to go places. You want to do things. You're exuberant. You're like, let's go here, let's go there. And he's like, I want to stay home. I don't want to go anywhere. I've been all those places. And if he's a military guy, that's when you really got problems, because he's going to tell you, oh, I've been to Europe already. There ain't nothing I haven't seen. Europe has changed a lot since 1950 something or 1960 something, or when you went to Vietnam doing war. Vietnam is built up now. It's fancy. It looks good. Oh, I don't want to go nowhere. And if I go somewhere, I want to go back to where I was in the war. Why do you want to do that? You were in the war. Okay, you want to go back and see that it's changed. Okay, but a lot of times they're so caught up in the war thing, they don't want to go nowhere else but where they were at in war. That could be a boring vacation, but nevertheless, they reach a stage where they don't want to go anywhere. You still got life. You still got energy. You still want to go places. And I look at the relationship of I'm going to be respectful, my last stepmother, whom you all know. Her and my father were 18 years different. That's a lot. She's 70. He would have been what, 88? Now you're 70. Do you really want to be with a man 88? I don't think so. I wouldn't. But I knew about these things early on in life, about this age difference. And then when I was working at the center, I had a chance to see it. This one guy, this couple pull up one day, and I just happened to be looking out the door. I went, oh, his daughter brought him, to hang out. No, that wasn't his daughter. He had recently gotten married. They lived in Maryland and then moved to Virginia. Now, he was, I think, 20 years different than her. That's a major difference. She was 50 at the time, he was 70. And it did not go well. I think they lasted another 5 years and then it was over because the age difference was too great. He's bringing her to a center where everybody in there is old enough to be her parent, pretty much. And then there was me. She could relate to me, but I'm the director, so I couldn't give her all of my time. But the age difference does start to take effect as you get older. I know of a former roommate of mine, his sister she has all these different homes for adults. It's not necessarily like a senior living or something like that, but they rent these houses or they buy these houses and they get these contracts where they take care of these people and they all have their own room and this kind of thing, but it's a house setup. Her husband used to be her professor when she was in college. He had a 30-year gap between them. So she was 20 and he was 50 when they hooked up. That's a major difference. I see these women all the time. They're usually having affairs on the side because the man is too damn old. He might have sexual desires in his head, but in his body, it's saying something else. And not everything can be cured with Viagra. And it's not really that sexy, somebody's taking Viagra anyway, is it? It's like, oh, come on. You can't just be spontaneous at some point in some way. So Cialis is the option. I hear men say that's more impromptu and, you don't have to worry about it and stuff like that. But still, mentally, it's not the same. He is traveled and did this. He might not feel like getting up and getting on a plane. You're 50 and he's 80. I don't feel it. It's not gonna, it's not gonna give you much. So when y'all are out there dating, especially you young ladies, don't get so caught up in that man's pocketbook that you're willing to marry him. He's going to be looking like your grandfather and you're going to be looking foxy. And he's going to want to go certain places and you go with him. And you're going to be looking like the maid. Like the maid, the housekeeper, whatever, daughter, something else, but you're not going to look like you're his mate. So you need to be careful about getting with people so much older than yourself because you might be lonely or something like that. Look, I'm going to share a secret with you. In the dark, they all feel the same. How about that? They all feel the same. So just take it from the dark and make it light. They all feel the same. Maybe you need to look outside of your culture group. There are a lot of men, especially after the series Scandal. Oh, we became a hot commodity to Caucasian men. But it was short-lived, unfortunately. But we were popular for a minute. I had a lot of almost, before I got to the man that I'm with. There was some almost, but it was a bunch of BS because when it came time to meeting, one of us wasn't going to show up. You know the game on these dating sites. Oh, they're going to meet and then they don't show up. Or I was there and I didn't see you. Your butt was sitting way over in the corner somewhere. And if the woman shows up and she looks like a picture that she posted from 20 years ago, you walked out. You didn't even say hi to her. You said she lied to you and you walked out. Or you had a picture up there from 50 years ago, right? And she walks in and she looks like the picture in the on the dating app. And you go, damn, I lied. And she looks damn good. And you walk out. So all of that involved in it, you need to really stay within your age group. They say 10 years is good. I'm not too sure about that. I'm not too sure. If you're in it for the short haul, yeah, 10 years is not bad. But if you're looking at down the road, y'all better be equally yoked in other ways. Otherwise, that relationship is going to die at some point. It might not be right away, but trust me, if you got a big age gap later on, nah, you're not going to want it. Not unless the older person is doing everything in their power to stay youthful and stay young. Now, I've seen those too, where the older person of the two does everything that they need to do to stay youthful and vibrant and exuberant. They dress younger, they think younger, their conversations are younger, anything to make them more youthful and appealing, they go out of their way to do it. They keep their hair dyed, etc., etc., etc. But if they're not doing those things to keep themselves up, so to speak, it's going to fall apart. It's going to just fall apart, and you're never going to want that relationship anymore. You're going to go through a lot of problems. You're like, well, what's wrong with us? Age. And I'm just telling you, look at it. You're 45 and you meet a man 60. Don't seem too bad, right? But when you turn 50, see, that's going to look a little bit different to you. Because he's going to have something break down that wasn't broken down before. So if you really, 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 really love this person beyond their physical, because you got to go beyond the physical, then you're okay. He was good to me. He's been good to me. He takes care of my family for me. You might be from another country and he's sending money to make sure that your people are comfortable, or he might be sending for them to come over to the States, or he might have sent for them to come to the States. You already have in your bank a lot of other reasons why you're still in this relationship, and that you genuinely love this person and you see beyond their age. But if you're not looking at all those other factors, he's going to start to look old to you. He's going to start to think old to you if he's not keeping himself up. All these things are going to come into play as you all age together, but you're aging differently. So he has, most times it's an older man, not an older woman. There are those situations where older women are involved with much younger men, but they, I have friends who've done it, and they walk away saying, the girl, that's something I should have never did. But at the time it was fun and he felt good and we had a great time, but he wanted to have babies. I can't have any. And so he goes off and gets some girl pregnant and still tries to maintain a home relationship. It doesn't work. Eventually those babies are going to be calling for their daddy, and their daddy's going to be looking at this woman he's with, and even though they made some kind of agreement, oh, you can go out and have your children long as you come home to me. Some people have done that. I don't know where they are now, but if you are one of those people and you want to chime in on this, please do leave some comments about it, because it is a topic of discussion. The older woman and the younger man. As long as there are no children involved, it can last for a minute. Matter of fact, I used to do group tours. We were going to New Orleans, and I discovered that one of the people on the trip, a couple on the trip, she was at least 12 to 15 years older than he was. But he was broke down. He was walking with a cane. She wasn't. She was vibrant and just full of life, but he wasn't. So that kind of matched them up, and she didn't look old. She kept herself up. So she was the one bouncing around wanting to do this, do that, and he couldn't really do a lot of things because of his condition. So that worked for a while. And she was the effeminate female, emasculate female. So she was the dominant one and he was the passive one. So it worked out for them. I don't know what wound up happening to them in the end, but for that while, it was okay. But if you're out there dating young ladies, and a lot of you have, taken me on as being your virtual mom, and I appreciate it. Uh, yeah, you just can't be doing it. I know the guys your age probably still walking around with their pants hanging off their ass like a fool. At some point, I hope the black men who are listening pull your pants up. Not everybody needs to see your underwear. It's not giving the statement that you think it's giving. I look at other ethnic groups. The only other ethnic group that's following your stupid stuff is the Hispanic people. All them other boys, they're not doing none of it. I don't see any East Indian boys with their pants down. And a lot of the Caucasian boys ain't wearing theirs down either. So, no. But find somebody of a different culture. There are a lot of African brothers that like African American women. There are. I love hanging out with the Nigerians. Everybody say, what you want to say about Nigerian people. Go ahead and say it. I hang out with them. Wonderful, welcoming. I mean, you go to their events, there's plenty enough to eat, plenty enough to drink, and strangers are welcome. They just say, welcome, brother, or welcome, sister. And you come on in and you have yourself a good time. Maybe when you're looking for Mr. Right, you might have to go with the man that's from another country who's been educated in the States. They look like us. I once not dated, lived with a man from Denmark who spoke fluent Spanish, which was amazing. But there are other men out there who love us, who want to embrace us, and don't see us as being some kind of threat to their male ego simply because we're strong women. We have had to be strong women. And I tell you, if I was a man or masculine energy where I'm into women, I'd want me a strong woman because I know if something happens to me, she can fill it in and take care of it. Not be some little scared wilting violet in the corner. I don't know what to do. She would take charge, take it over, and keep it moving. But you all looking for Mr. Moneybags, and he's got to be some old dude. Trust me, you're going to have karma happen to you if you stay in there because he's going to age on you and you're not going to like the way he looks. And the more he ages on you and you don't like the way he looks, the more you don't want to be, oh, don't touch me. Or you'll find ways to move back, move aside, or something, or, some subliminal message letting others know, if he didn't pick it up, that you don't care for this relationship anymore. But you should not have jumped in it in the first place. Or you jump in it for a certain amount of time and jump out. These older relationships are really not healthy in the long run. You might have some money out of it, but hey, money's not everything. Sometimes our consciousness means more. So I just wanted to kind of, share that with you all today and get back in the fray of what's really needs to be going on. Because I'd be damned if I'm going to spend all of my time, my 68 years of living, on some woman who thinks that she's above everyone else, including me. It's okay. Because I've got my own life and I'm living it. So I don't have any problem sharing my knowledge with you all. So thank you again for listening. I didn't want to make this too long and too drawn out, but I just wanted to bring that to y'all's attention, that when it comes to older men, not such a good idea. Not unless you're going to date them for a while and then say, this has been great fun. I've grown a lot. I've gained a lot, but it's time for me to move on. because you might want babies, and if he's so old, he's not going to want to have kids. I know a young lady right now is the same age as my grandson. She at one time was dating a man in my age group, and she wanted to have babies. And she talked to me about, he was leaving early in the morning, staying at Starbucks all day on his computer, coming home at night, would eat dinner and then go to bed. And then she would try to be intimate with him. He would say, "Oh, honey, I'm just so tired." And then that was their routine every single day. So when she talked to me about it, I said, "I'll tell you what's going on. He doesn't want any babies." She was like, "You think?" "Because I want to have children with him." I said, "What you want to have with him and what he wants to have with you are totally two different things. You want to have babies, he doesn't. And guess what? They broke up. But he was nice. He actually had some property, and he wrote it and deeded it over to her, quit claim deed. But in her case, she didn't try to sell it while he had quit claim deeded it to her until she knew for sure that she could do that. And he said, "This is for you. I'm out." So at least he left her with something, to make up for it. But that's a classic example. She wanted to have babies with him. He was not trying to have babies when he was almost 60. Now, some men, they'll go along with it. "Oh, yeah, my wife wants to have babies," or "my girl wants to have babies with me," and they go ahead and do it. But not every man is looking to do that. So, young ladies, once again, if you're looking to make a family out of this, be very careful about who you choose as the father for your children. Because if he's very, very old, he's not going to be able to do anything with them, really. He can sit and watch them play basketball, but he in no way can get up there and play basketball with them. And then later on, the child might grow up saying, "Oh, my father didn't spend time with me." And it'll be because dad was too old to play basketball. So with that, I'm going to say take care. I will be back and we'll be talking about more things. I see everyone else sits in a chair, or some of y'all even lay in bed and try to talk to people. I mean, you could at least, spruce up a little bit for it. But it's getting dark and I need to turn my light on, and I don't want to be rude by turning the light on and then coming back and sitting in the chair. So anyway, you all enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we'll talk again soon. Bye.